With AAA's legendary roadside assistance and access to hotel, concert, and restaurant discounts, members can expect something more. As a member, AAA Roadside Assistance has your back if you're stranded on the side of the road. You're covered whether you're locked out of your car, have a dead battery, need a tow, or run out of gas. Plus, roadside assistance isn't just for your car. It's with you wherever you go, 24/7, 365. And this peace of mind can be yours for about $5 a month. Offers, terms, conditions, and policies are subject to change without notice. Visit AAA.com/member for details.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nick Chubb, running back for the Cleveland Browns. Abercrombie's NFL partnership kicked off last year, and if you haven't shopped there recently, I'll tell you exactly where to start. First, Abercrombie's denim quality is unmatched. I'm a fan of their loose jean, and it fits me just the way I want it to. Make sure to hit up Abercrombie's Essential Collections for tees and their best-selling popover hoodie. I love rocking out on game day, or really any day. Shop Abercrombie to see what everyone's talking about.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Happy Labor Day, everybody. That means some people have off. Not during the NFL regular season. We are here, ready to go. Week 1, Schmeelk Citak with you, getting ready for the Giants and Vikings now just 6 days away on Sunday to kick off the 2024 season. And I'll call this game the culmination of our 100 celebration this weekend. I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Yeah, so we had the big
lot
fan
of celebrations going on this weekend.
Absolutely, and let me hit that first, folks, just in case you're in the tri-state area. Very busy weekend. If you're going to the game on Sunday, we'll start there. Big halftime ceremony. They're going to announce, my understanding is, the names of everybody in the 100, for the people that are past, the families of those 100. They'll bring them all out at halftime. It's going to be quite the scene. It'll be a little bit longer, so that halftime show on Sunday is going to be a ton of fun. But if you really want a little bit more, because halftimes in the NFL only 15 minutes long for the longer ones, you got to go to the Fan Fest on Friday night. It's presented by Wendy's. Gates open at 5 o'clock, MetLife Stadium. Panel discussions. You could take pictures with the Super Bowl trophies, historical artifacts, all that great stuff at the Fan Fest on Friday. That's September 6th, 5 p.m., MetLife Stadium. Drone light and fireworks show at the end of the night. I've seen some pictures of what this thing looks like, by the way. It's pretty cool.
I still haven't seen that. Well, you gotta go upstairs and get a picture.
Well, we're setting up the production parameters of it, so I've seen like a preview of what some of the stuff might look like. Let me tell you, what they can do is pretty awesome. So they'll put these drones in certain shapes to like represent certain things. It's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Then, of course, we have our 5K run on Saturday as well, Giants.com/5K. And by the way, those FanFest tickets are free. So just go to Giants.com/FanFest, get your seats, go in, check it out. It should be a lot of fun. Also, one other announcement before we get to football stuff. Tomorrow's Big Blue Kickoff 5. We have to shift it to 1:30. Various production reasons here. Brian Dable show recording, etc., etc. And 2 special hosts tomorrow. It'll be Bob Papa and Howard Cross on Big Blue Kickoff 5 tomorrow at 1:30. Make sure you check that out. We are opening the phones today. And guys, this is why we love you here at Big Blue Kickoff 5. It's a Labor Day weekend. You should be on the beach somewhere, hanging out with your family. Instead, you're hanging out with us. I already got a full bank of calls here at 201-939-4513. So let's save, we have our NFL predictions. Let's save those Citak till the end of the show. We got a full bank of calls. I want to get to them first. Really big picture, 25,000-foot thing I'll say about the game on Sunday and the season in general, and then I'll kind of let you take it. Then we'll get to your calls. This, to me, is going to be a very different Giant type of season that we've seen. For the first time in a long time, Matt, I feel better about where the offense is than where the defense is. With Brian Dable calling plays, an offensive line that I have a lot of confidence in, and I've known the last time I had a lot of confidence in the Giants' offensive line, I think this team's going to score points. And I think we're going to see that happen this week against the Vikings. Against the Vikings defense that does not have a lot of premier players on it. Good defensive coordinator, Brian Flores. I think the Giants will be able to score points this season, and I think they're going to score a lot of points this week. The problem is that I don't know how many points the Giants are going to allow this season and this week. A very young secondary and a brand new defense. There's going to be growing pains, especially at the start of the season. I have confidence Shane Bowen will figure things out and things will get smoothed out. The defensive front, the strength up there will help. But I could see this being a big Sam Darnold comeback year. I think he could be in the mix, and let's see what happens when we do our predictions for comeback player of the year. I think the Vikings offense with Justin Jefferson, they have a good offensive line, is going to be very good. I could see this season having more high-scoring games than we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years, man. When half these games are 17-13, I think we're going to see a lot more 30-27 games than we are 2017 games this year. I think that's the type of season it's going to be. And frankly, I think it's going to start this week. I think we could be out in for a bit of a shootout on Sunday, which would be a lot of fun, 1 o'clock at MetLife Stadium. That's kind of my overarching thought here of the year, and I hope we get out of that game Thanksgiving in Dallas. We walk out of there. We have the December schedule after that. You have 7 games left on the schedule. Be right in the middle of the playoff mix, and then let the chips fall where they may. And that's my thoughts on this week and the season in general.
Yeah, so I will start with this week. I agree with you on the offense. I mean, first of all, the addition of Malik Neighbors, I mean, I know we've spoken about it now for months since we first saw him on the field. What was it? I guess rookie minicamp, then OTAs, training camp. He is going to just add a element to the offense that this team just has not had since Odell Beckham Jr. left. Like, what he can do as a playmaker and with the ball in his hands is just pure electricity. And it's going to be a big thing that opposing defenses are going to have to game plan and account for, which in previous seasons, the last couple of years, the Giants have not had anyone close to that. You know, Saquon Barkley was the top playmaker on this team for years.
It's since Beckham. It's since Odell Beckham Jr. That's what it is.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, the offensive line, it is going to be significantly better. Now, I will say that compared to last year, that bar isn't exactly too high to be better than last year's line. But I think we're going to see a stark improvement. I mean, it cannot be understated how the additions of John Runyon, Jermaine Illuminor, and Greg Van Roten, plus a healthy Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas was an all-pro 2 years ago, the last time we saw him fully healthy. Last year, hurts his hamstring in the first drive of week 1, misses the next 8 games, takes him a little while to, get the rust off of him once he does return. But the final, I would say, month or so of the season, he looked like all-pro left tackle Andrew Thomas. So having him healthy, plus John Michael Schmitz in year 2, I think the offense is going to take a big jump this year. And so I agree with you completely on that. When it comes to the defense, the pass rush, I feel very confident about. That's another area where I have spoken at length on the show, on Giants.com, in various articles. I cannot wait to see Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Kayvon Thibodeau start getting after quarterbacks. I think this is going to be the best pass rush the Giants have had in a very long time. Now, the next level of the defense, the linebackers, already is being hit by the injury bug, unfortunately. We don't know, as Coach said today, we don't really know yet which linebackers of the injured guys are going to be able to play this weekend.
Shocking no injury hints from Brian Dable today. I couldn't believe it.
Seriously. So we'll have to see if Micah McFadden is able to play. We really don't know. We'll find out when the injury report comes out on Wednesday if he's back on the field or not. So I do have a little bit of a question mark next to Bobby Okereke there.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the secondary as well. I mean, it's a young secondary. I do think bringing Adoree Jackson back is going to have a big effect. There's a reason that they brought it back. I know I've seen on Twitter some people complaining that it's happening so late, but who knows the reasoning behind it. Brian Dable said today that they've been in contact with Adoree for, a couple of weeks now, and it just happened to get done when it did. It
could be Adoree came down to their price point. I mean, who knows the reason why?
Yeah, we don't know the details, right. But regardless, Adoree Jackson is back, and I think, it's not going out on a limb by saying that Adoree Jackson struggled last year, but the previous 2 years that he was here, he was a very solid cornerback for the Giants. And now he's going to be, eventually you would think, at least in competition, to be the second cornerback opposite Tay Banks. And that's going to be, less responsibility for him than guarding the top wide receiver on the other team on a weekly basis. So I think Adoree's return is going to help boost the secondary, both on the field and off the field, because he's now by far the most veteran guy in the DB room. And, the group of safeties are talented. You have a lot of talented pieces to this puzzle. It's about all of them coming together and taking this defense to the next level, which is we'll have to wait and see if it happens first. But when it comes to this weekend's game, I feel I feel confident. I think the Giants have a good chance at coming out of week 1 with a victory. I think it'll be a good game. I am interested to see how Sam Darnold looks. I think this is by far the best offense that Sam Darnold has ever played in terms of just purely a play caller. I think Kevin O'Connell is just a very, very good, underrated play caller.
Oh, top 10 in the league. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And, obviously, we don't need to talk about Justin Jefferson. He's probably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
And they have a pretty good line.
They have a pretty good line. So I think it's going to be a good game. I do agree with you that it's going to be on the slightly higher scoring side of things. But I like the Giants' chances this week. And, we've spoken a lot about how the Giants need to get off to a fast start because these first 2 games are against Minnesota and then Washington. And then they have a really tough stretch of 8 games. 8 games?
That's the last year's schedule. Hold on, sorry. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. 7 games.
Okay. A tough stretch after that. So it's important for the Giants to get off to a fast start like they did 2 years ago in 2022 when they made the playoff run.
I'm sorry, 6 games, Matt. 6 games.
6 games.
6 games, yes.
But
Browns, Cowboys, Seahawks, Bengals, Eagles, Steelers.
Those are all 6 very tough games that, as of right now, Giants could be underdogs in all 6 of those games.
Yep.
So it is very important to get off to a fast start. I think they will, starting this weekend.
And I think the first 2 games are, you talk about favorites, unders. I think that's pretty much even money on those first 2 games for the people that do that for a living. So
yeah. So we'll see what happens. But this is, I would say, the best I felt about a Giants team in at least a couple of years.
Which is funny, coming off the season they had last year, you wouldn't think that's the case. But I feel better about this team. I said this to Carl Banks at lunch today. I feel better about this team today than I felt about last year's team at this time coming off a playoff year.
Yes, I agree with that.
Which seems crazy, but that's how I feel.
It does seem crazy, but if you just looked at the roster, this roster just has more talent.
It has Neighbors, it has Burns, and a better offensive line.
Yeah.
Seriously, that is, if you want to do like the top line summary, Neighbors, Burns, better offensive line.
100%.
That's the top line summary.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
So that's where we're at, folks. Good times. We should mention Adoree Jackson very quickly. I'm happy you brought him up. I was going to bring him up before we got to the calls. I don't think they're going to play him in the slot, which I think is better for him. Stick him outside. That's where he had his issues last year. I'm curious to see how quickly he can get up to speed. And once he's up to speed, if he automatically slides into that other starting spot. We don't know that. We'll have to wait and see. Does he only play like third downs week 1? How ready can he get? Working on the offseason is different than practicing with the team. These are all different things. So we'll have to wait to see exactly where he can slide in and help this team. But he certainly, I think, raises the floor of what you're getting out of that second cornerback position, right? At the very least, he's somebody that you know is going to do what he's supposed to do, is going to be in the right spot, will understand how to play correctly, and he'll raise the floor. It'll allow Nick McLeod to be more of your do-everything guy rather than having to slide him into that spot, and it'll be a good competition then between the young guy and Cordell Flott, who, by the way, I think you would like to be able to win that job. He was a third-round pick 3 years ago. That's your preference, right? He's healthy and good enough to win that job and be your starting outside corner, but now at least, again, this is similar to having, bringing in Stinney and Van Roten, right? You're trying to lift the floor of the group by bringing in these veterans that you can depend on.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that Flott got hurt during training camp. He might have come out and just won the CB2 job.
Yeah.
We won't know now because obviously he's been hurt, but he's healthy now. Coach Stable said today he's healthy. He's ready to compete. It is, I think, important just to note that Shane Bowen does have familiarity with Adoree Jackson. They did overlap in Tennessee for 3 seasons. Now, Adoree signed with the Giants as Shane Bowen was promoted from, I think it was outside linebackers coach to defensive coordinator.
Sounds right.
So Bowen was never defensive coordinator with Adoree, but he did have him on the defense for 3 seasons. So he's plenty familiar with Adoree's, style of play, how he performs. So I don't think it'll be too big of an adjustment period for Adoree Jackson. As you said, he might not play extensive action week 1 because that could be asking a lot. He's got to get into game shape as opposed to workout shape. But I don't think it'll be long before we're at least seeing him on the field a decent amount. Again, I don't know if he'll be starting, but I do think he will be seeing somewhat extensive playing time sooner rather than later.
There's no better place to watch live TV this fall than Hulu Plus Live TV. Why? Because you get your favorite sports like football, local channels, shows, and so much more. Plus, get Hulu's entire streaming library with Disney Plus and ESPN Plus included with your plan. No long-term contracts or hidden fees. Don't wait. Start your 3-day free trial of Hulu Plus Live TV today. Live TV plan required. Access content from each service separately. Offer valid for new and eligible returning subscribers only if available. Terms and restrictions apply. Learn more at hulu.com.
And again, we a lot of zone, keep things in front of you, play deep to shallow. So you're not putting as much pressure on the cornerbacks than you were in previous years. All right, let's get to the phones at 201-939-4513. Don't forget, check out the Giants Huddle podcast, guys. We're going basically once a day now throughout the entire year. We're rocking and rolling. Robert Maze's NFL and Giants preview. Really go pretty deep on the Giants for about a half an hour. That was up all weekend. Go check that out from the Athletic Football Show, my favorite NFL podcast that's out there if you want to do around the league stuff. So go check that out. Giants Huddle Podcast, Giants.com, Giants app, Giants.com/podcast. Just search for Giants Huddle on your favorite podcast platform. You can also search for Giants Podcast Network. That's what that Giants Huddle feed is being renamed to. So go check that out. And the Writers Roundtable, is that up yet,
That's
Pearson?
up. Yep.
Yeah, the Beat Reporter Roundtable that I do every year. That is up. Me, Paul Schwartz, Art Stapleton, Kim Jones. It's up there on the Giants Huddle podcast. We do our little Giants preview. So a lot more of that. We have some cool historical stuff coming this week in celebration of the Giants 100 as well over the next couple of days. We're going to announce the top 10 players in Giants history. That's coming up tomorrow, correct? If I'm not
Tomorrow
mistaken.
morning.
So make sure you check that out. That podcast will be up there. Bob will have 2 guests from that top 10. It's not difficult to figure out who those guests might be based on who hasn't been named yet and who's still alive. You should be able to figure that one out. So you can check that out on tomorrow on the Giants Huddle podcast. You'd also be up on the Giants YouTube channel, Giants.com. And then a very special Papa's Perspective coming away on Wednesday. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's someone around here that's kind of important. So I'll leave it at that. 201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. RJ in Georgia will lead us off. Hi, RJ.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
We're good, man. What's on your mind today, RJ?
Hey, listen, just want to let you know that I'm excited for the season. I can't wait for it to start. Coming up, driving up from Georgia with my wife and I and another couple. We're going to be there for the weekend, and we are going to cheer the Giants on like no other, and I'm just looking forward to hopefully a successful season.
That's great, RJ. Are you going to come up early enough to go to the Fan Fest on Friday?
Unfortunately, no. We're leaving on Saturday morning.
Got it.
I have been to the fan. I went to the Fan Fest last year, and let me tell you something. The excitement in that stadium was awesome. Okay, so the Giants do a good job. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss it this year, but I also, switching subjects, I try to tell people, if you haven't experienced the Giants opening day festivities in that parking lot outside the stadium, it's a must because they do an excellent job, and all of us, the fans, are just excited. The parking lot is full of excitement and joy. It's like no other.
That's awesome, RJ. We can't wait to have you up here. You want to say anything about the team, or you're good?
No, what I want to say about the team,
to
be honest with you, is that obviously I'm excited about Malik Neighbors and the rest of the wide receiving core. I know DJ's been getting the bad rap all year, all off season about this and about that. But you know what? I am going to be his biggest fan. I'm going to expect the best from him. This is his best receiving core since he's been there. And I really think if the Giants stay healthy with a revamped offensive line, there's going to be more good news this year than bad news.
I'm with you. RJ, good stuff, my friend. Safe travels up here, and we are pumped to see you up, all right?
Thank you, my man. You too.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, RJ. Yeah, I agree with him. This is clearly the best wide receiver room Daniel Jones has played with.
Yep.
It's the best offensive line Daniel Jones has played with.
Yep.
And it's time to see what he can do. I mean, as Mr. Mara has said several times over the years, the Giants haven't necessarily put Daniel Jones in the best position to win since he's been here. Now he's in a different position than in years past. So I, for one, cannot wait to see what he does out there.
Yeah, and look, barring catastrophic injuries, this is a good NFL or a legitimate NFL-level situation for a quarterback.
Yes,
so
for sure.
It's a big year for him. It's a big year for the Giants to figure out your path forward. I think you're going to find out everything you need to find out this year. And Brian Daboll is not... Look, Joe Shane said it right in the offseason. You don't pay this was his quote. You don't pay a quarterback $40 million to hand it off to a running back. They're going to hand him the football, and this is going to be Daniel Jones' show.
Yep.
And we'll see how it goes. Let's go to Tim in Charleston. He's up next. Hi, Tim.
Hey, John. Hey, Matt. How you doing?
We're great, man. Happy
up,
Labor
Tim?
Day, Tim. Are you off today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm unfortunately off. I've been driving Uber since I got myself rehabbed, and but my car's in the shop, so I'm sitting up. But it gave me the chance to call in. So
excellent.
First, a couple of housekeeping things. I want to talk about the over/under just a little bit.
Tim, I got to say, you driving that Uber, you've got to be one of those conversationalist Uber drivers, right? Where you're sitting there and you're trying to have a good conversation with everybody you're driving around.
Absolutely, I'll tell you.
I knew it. See.
You got to read your audience, and some people don't want to talk, but I'll tell you, the people who don't want to engage in conversation are the people who don't tip. So
is that true? Really?
Absolutely. The people who talk to you a lot, they always give a nice tip, and the people who just sit back there and are quiet and don't want to engage, there's never a tip.
Well, Tim, I will say this. I'm probably more on the side of the quiet passengers on the rideshare things. And
but you tip.
I do tip, but I will sometimes maybe reduce a tip a little bit if I send the clear signal that I'm not interested in all the chatting. The driver keeps coming at me with all the chattering, and then I'm like, all right, dude, I've tried to send the message with my 6 consecutive one-word answers that I'm not in the mood for this. So please leave me alone. So that would be my advice to you. If you sense that they don't want to talk, back off a little bit, and then maybe the tips might come a little bit more freely.
Read the audience, and and the one exception to that is anyone from New York, New Jersey, metro area, they tip. Period. The end. So anyway, one other thing is, so the two housekeeping. One, John, I am going to send you an email later this afternoon. I'm going to ask you to try to get to it. It's a suggestion I have for a Giants huddle that you somewhere in your panoply of huddles that you might be interested in using.
Sure.
Over the course of the year, in between each game, and I won't tease it except to say there's a special role for Matt Citak in it, so he would be interested to hear about it too.
Reject.
So that being said, on the over/unders, I was excited. I actually made a list in my notepad of them, and I was very happy to see, some of the three bold predictions I made on the passing yards for DJ. You were at 36.50, so I was clearly over on that one. And then I saw that when I added up the sacks for Dexter, Lawrence, Burns, and Thibodeau, that your total over/under on those guys was 23.5, and my bold prediction was 25 or more. So obviously I went over on all of those, although I don't think we have to have over 6 from Lawrence, from Dex to get there.
Tim, I have that down as outside linebackers. Is that with Dexter?
No, that was with Dexter.
Okay.
Dexter, Burns, and Thibodeau, the 3 guys.
Okay, that's Pearson. Good job staying on top of that, getting that correct. I like it. Good job.
Yeah. All right, and then also on the safeties, I had predicted 10 as my bold prediction. You had it at 9.5. I was like, all right, so John is giving a little weight to my words. I appreciate that.
Tim, I don't want to insult you. I did not think of your bold predictions for a second as I was doing those over-unders. So this is much more of a great minds think alike type of situation than anything else.
I'm joking. joking.
I know. So am I.
But my 25,000 foot view is I think the offense is going to be a revelation, assuming general health. I think there are 2 guys. I don't even want to say the names. I think that we have to have stay healthy. Our new guy, and you know who, AT. And the defense, again, the only thing I'm concerned about on defense, of course, I'm very happy about them bringing Adoree back, and of course to play on the outside at what, hopefully he can get up to speed quickly and help give us some strength there. And the only one thing I'm just hanging my hat on is Bowen's ability to stop the run, because that's my general concern with the defense. Because if you can't stop the run, you're in second and short and third and short situations, and that makes it very difficult for your secondary to really be productive. It also takes the edge off your pass rush. So on that, we got to beat the Vikings, go Giants, win the first 2, win 2 of the next 6, and I'll be happy to go in after 8 games 4-4 and poised to make a run. How do you feel about that?
If you tell me, thank you, Tim. Appreciate the call. If you tell me this team's 4-4 through 8 games, where do I sign?
I would sign up for that in a heartbeat.
Where do I sign? It's that simple. Because look, after those 8 games, then you have the Commanders and the Panthers. 2 teams that actually had worse records than the Giants did last year. One with a rookie quarterback, one with a quarterback in his second year, who's honestly, I don't know if Bryce Young even learned anything as a rookie. That was such a debacle last year with everything going on there in Carolina. So, yeah, 4-4, where do I sign?
I do think the Panthers are going to take a big step this year.
I think they'll be better, too.
Dave Canales is going to help Bryce Young.
I was always a Bryce Young believer, so I think Bryce is going to have a good year.
Just real quick, as we been on air,
what do you got?
We just announced that Jakob Johnson back signed to the practice squad, our guy.
So our roster predictions are wrong again.
Yeah. And Miles Boykin has been released.
Okay. Oh, wow. Miles Boykin released, huh?
Released from the practice squad. Yeah.
Interesting.
And Adoree Jackson is currently speaking to the media right now. And he said his familiarity with Shane Bowen from their time in Tennessee will help him get back up to speed quickly.
Yeah, because I'm sure Bowen did not change that system much. I'm trying to remember who he replaced as DC down there. Do you remember that off the top of your head? I think he got a job somewhere else. That'd be Titans defensive coordinator in 2020, right?
Denard Wilson? No, he's the defensive coordinator now.
Yeah, I got it right here. Hold on. Players. I need coaches. Staff. Here we go. Defensive coordinator was
Dean Pease.
Yeah. Why isn't this listed here? I got defensive line. I got head coach. Was Vrabel also the DC? I do not have. I'm not blind, right? I don't see a defensive coordinator listed here on the 2020 Titan staff. I'm not missing anything, am I?
No.
Maybe Vrabel.
Right.
Maybe Vrabel was also the DC that year.
Yeah. Dean Pease was the coordinator the 2 years prior to that.
Okay, and Dean Pease runs a similar zone-heavy scheme, so it's something that he should be fairly familiar with. So, 201-939-4513. Let's get back to the phones. James is in Georgia. He's up next. Hi, James.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
We're good.
What's up, James?
I got everything written down today, so I'm not scatterbrained on y'all.
Okay, what do you got?
Let's welcome back Adoree Jackson first. Thank y'all for doing the show on a holiday.
Our pleasure.
I got a couple bold predictions. Malik Neighbors 10+ touchdowns.
All right, I like that. That's bold enough. I like it.
I'm gonna give him 12. Total.
All right, so 12 touchdowns for Neighbors there. Go 12, okay?
All right, 28 points per game offense.
Woo!
28?
Woo!
That's a big step up, ain't it?
That is a big step up, yes.
Yes, that would be I will look up where that would rank the Giants quickly, James. Okay? Give me what else you got.
Okay. 13-4 record. And 3 players with double-digit stats. Hello?
Dude.
Those are definitely bold.
They are so bold they have rendered us silent. That's very good.
The 28.
We're here, dude.
The 28
James
points
on that stuff this morning, huh?
The 28 points per game would have ranked 5th in the NFL last year.
So, and then I have a question. I think I did ask y'all this at one time because it's like, for your big 3 positions in running back, wide receiver, and tight end, I'll take your answer off the air or whatnot. I'm up here playing Madden on my day off. Is it too much to ask for your starters at the big 3 to produce 1 touchdown per game?
All 3?
Wait, hold on. Wait. What do you mean starters at the big 3, James? What do you mean?
Like 1 running back touchdown, 1 wide receiver touchdown, and 1 tight end touchdown?
I think tight end is asking a lot. I don't think you're going to get 17 touchdowns out of your tight ends this year.
Would be a lot.
But yeah, I mean, and I think I think you would look for one rushing touchdown a game, not necessarily one.
Right.
So you would count the quarterback rushing touchdowns in that conversation. That could probably get you. That would probably get you to probably around like 14 or 15, I would think. Maybe not one per game. But look, most of your touchdowns are still going to come through passes. I mean, that's just the way it goes in the NFL, right? You look at the touchdown leaders. Passing touchdowns is always higher than rushing touchdowns. That's just how it goes. That's how the NFL works, because you get the big plays plus the red zone touchdowns. For passes, for runs, all the rushing touchdowns are inevitably most of the time, or your red zone or goal-to-go touchdowns. So one of each is asking a lot, but I do think a goal of scoring 3 touchdowns per game is a good one. You know, if you could get to 3 touchdowns per game and 1 field goal per game on average, and that gets you to 24 points per game, I think that would be a very, very nice year.
You're in good shape then. That's a top 10. That's a top 10 scoring offense, most likely.
Yeah, and that would take what Brian Dable's trying to do and him calling the plays now up from what we used to be like 18 points per game, maybe 16 points per game.
Yeah, 24 points per game, James would 24 points per game, James would put you at 8th best in the league last year.
And 28, like you said, that puts top 5. I mean, I always think that every year brings something new, so it's not impossible to make that leap going from worst to first in nowadays NFL. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you're saying, man. Look, and James, appreciate the call, man. I would say if you could get, I think what I put in the fact or fiction question, I have to look at it. I think if you can get over 21 points per game this year, that'll put you squarely in the top half of the league. I would be, given where they've been, I would be happy if you can get upwards over 21 points per game.
For sure. I mean, as you mentioned, where the Giants have been the last handful of years, being just middle of the pack, again, that is a big jump. So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, last year the Chiefs were 21.8 and they were 15th.
Yeah, well, it was a down year for the Chiefs offense in the regular season.
Well, it was a down in general in the offense. It was a down for the league. It was a down year for offenses. But just to give you an example, Chiefs are 21.8, Bengals were 21.5, Seahawks were 21.4, Bears were 21.2, Bengals were 21, and Bucks were 20.5. If you want to go there, 22 points per game. You had the Jaguars, the Texans, the Packers. Those are the teams with 22 points per game. So if you could be in that range, I'll take it.
Then you're in very good shape if you're in that range, for sure.
That's what I'm looking for, and I think that's a solid goal to head into this year, given where they've been. 2022. Where do you think, Citak? I'll look it up right now. Where do you think the Giants ranked in 2022 in terms of points per game? Number of points and where they're ranked in the league.
Probably still in the second half. The bottom half of the league, I would guess.
I bet you they were at I'm going to say they were at
I
around
just looked it up.
20.3 points per game.
21.5.
All right, 21.5, and that put them in what, 15th?
Right in the middle.
Get there again.
If that's where the Giants offense ends up this year, the Giants are in very good shape.
Get there again. Now, I'm not sure the defense will be as good this year as it was in 2022. We'll have to wait and see about that. But get back into that area, and you'll be good.
One thing I will say about the defense is, there certainly are some, somewhat question marks on the defensive side of the ball. However, Shane Bowen, he has 2 big strengths, his defensive, schemes over the last couple of years, at least the 3 years that he was the coordinator in Titans. They are elite against the run, which obviously has been probably the Giants' defense's biggest weakness the last couple of years.
No question.
And they are elite in the red zone. I think they were number 1 in the league in red zone defense last year.
It was either last year or 2 years ago. Yes, it might have been last year actually.
I think they were number 1.
Yeah, they were number 1 when rush defense was 2 years ago. I think they were 1. Correct. Yeah.
So even if there are some question marks, if Bowen can bring that, obviously he's bringing the same defensive philosophy, but if this Giants defense can pick up where the Titans defense left off in the red zone.
Yeah, 37% touchdown rate last year, first in the league.
Then that would eliminate some of those questions we have about the defense
great
in
point.
A big way.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be the classic bend but don't break type of defense, right? You might give up some yards, but you keep them out of the end zone, and that's how you
As we saw in the Texans game, which was the one game that our defensive starters played extensive action. They had a goal-to-go situation, first and goal, and the Giants stopped them 4 straight plays. Now, in the regular season, I think Houston would have kicked a field goal in that situation instead of going for it on 4th and goal. But still, in a situation like that, if your opponent has a 1st and goal situation and you hold them to a field goal, that's a win. That is a big win.
With the 100%, Keith in Cranford. He's up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hi, Keith.
Hi. I just want to say I appreciate all the information you've been giving and all the stuff you've been doing. I've been a fan since I helped build the first Giant Stadium. I helped build the second one also.
That's great, Keith. Thank you.
And what I want to ask you, I know Gano is back, but is he back?
There were no limitations, Keith, to him in kicking over the summer and in the spring. He could do whatever they wanted. I know McAtamey was here, but Gano did not have anything holding him back in the offseason. So, look, we're never going to know. We aren't going to know, Keith, until we see him until we see him kicking field goals in front of 70,000 screaming fans. We're not going to know until we see it. But as far as we know, he should be good to go 100%.
I will say, I know during training camp when all the beat reporters are out there, they're only pretty much reporting and tweeting about, the offensive plays, the defensive plays. Special teams never really gets talked about. But John and I were both at practice every single day throughout the summer. Graham Gano looked like your normal Graham Gano.
I'm a loser. I tracked field goals, and he was fine.
Yeah, he looked completely fine, ready to go.
If he's his normal self, it's worth about 3 games.
No, Keith, you're right. These close games you play, they come down to missed kicks. So people don't talk about it, but you're 100% right. Remember, if Gano makes a couple more kicks last year, they might win 2 more games depending on how some of those games go. So, by the way, that's one of the reasons they got to 9 wins too in 2022, because Graham Gano is a freaking machine. So
That's
you're
what I'm
100%
saying.
right.
If he can go back to his original thing, I think he can make a big difference.
Yep.
No argument.
And the other thing a few other things. We've always had trouble covering tight ends. I was hoping Sims might be the person that might be able to do that. It seems like they eat our lunch. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that's different this year.
I think in man-to-man situations, Keith, you could see Simmons lined up on some tight ends. I think that's very possible.
Because he's big enough, and he's strong enough, and he's fast enough.
Yep,
So,
100%.
And we haven't been able to do that well in the past. Well, I feel that the offensive line is hopefully coming along. It's just how well they can gel together. I think that I'm hoping that the offense would be able to go to average of 23. I know I'm pushing it, but I like to see. That's what I want.
No, Keith. I don't think 23 is out of a legitimate, serious realm of possibility. Absolutely not.
And I feel if I like the fact that Adoree Jackson was added very much, because I felt that was probably the weakest part of our team at this point, and that we needed some veteran leadership. And I thought, okay, he can make the difference in making it so that maybe the secondary can be good enough to stand up and we don't get killed in the secondary, because I think that's one of the weakest points on the whole team.
Agreed. I think Matt and I are on the same page. You're raising the floor and giving yourself more depth at the spot. I think that's what that's all about.
And what I would hope is that my under would be eight games and top would be 10. I'm hoping that they stay healthy and we can get to 10.
Appreciate it, Keith. Good stuff, my friend.
And like I said, I really do appreciate all the information you have. I admit I don't have half the information that you got, but I appreciate the knowledge that you're giving us.
Thank you, Keith. We appreciate it. And we do, thanks for the call, and we do work hard to try to get you that information. This is our jobs. This is what we do. It's our job to try to find stuff that you guys who have other jobs that you're working your rear ends off at, and your families, and you're doing all that stuff. It's our job to try to find you some nuggets and other things that maybe you can't find on your own. So that's what we try to do.
Yeah, and I just got to say, we very much appreciate you listening to us when we are up here speaking.
And building the stadiums.
Yes, and building the stadiums. But yeah, what we say on here wouldn't really hold much importance or anything if it weren't for you guys listening. Thank you to you guys.
We wouldn't be doing this if there weren't so many guys out there listening and taking your day off on a Labor Day to call us on a Monday afternoon, which is just, you guys humble us. And we really appreciate you guys checking out all of our content. We really do.
We were at such a nice spot right there.
Except for this guy, who occasionally I guess I don't mind chatting with when he's in a good mood. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
Hey, Charlie.
Happy Labor Day. Hey, John. Great minds think alike.
What did I say? That's what I said. What are you talking about?
No, not think. Sink. S-I-N-K.
Oh, sink. Jesus.
Hey, hey, look. Adoree Jackson, all right? How long is it going to take till this guy gets a soft tissue injury? This guy's been injured his whole career. We're bringing him back, and Dable says, "Oh, I'll use him as a punt returner." Did he get injured last year being a punt returner?
Charlie, did you see? Now this is one of your issues. You're not good at sensing the tone of things. Did you sense the tone of Brian Dable's potentially when he was asked about Adoree Jackson?
Yeah, I know, but that's what he's thinking. I wouldn't even mention it.
No, Charlie. When does Brian Dable unequivocally say yes or no to any question?
I know. That's why he shouldn't even speak.
Charlie. Look, honestly, here's the deal with coaches. And we talked about this last week when we got a call about it.
I know.
If you're a coach and you're asked a question and they want a yes or no answer, if you say yes or no, then circumstances change and you change your mind, people are going to come out and say, oh, you lied about it. So that's why you say, maybe, we'll see, potentially. These are all the code words for, I don't want to answer this question, so I'm going to say something that doesn't really a firm answer. That's what all coaches do, not just Brian Dable.
All right. Hey, and Matt, stop making excuses for Daniel Jones. He has been god-awful for 6 years. And I don't care what you put around him, it ain't going to make a difference. And you're going to find that out on Sunday against the Vikings. So that's all I want to say.
Hey, Charlie, look, Charlie, here's the bottom line. And maybe we can not have 5 straight weeks of Daniel Jones phone calls after this. We know, we're all going to know after this year, all right? We've talked about it.
You're going to know after the first game. That's when you're going to know.
Well, no. You might think you know after the first game, but then you're going to call and I'm going to argue with you that you don't because it's only one game of a 17-game season. I'm looking into the future. This is what next Tuesday's show is going to look like, okay? But, Charlie, here's the thing. Heading into this year, has any – and I'm being – and this is not meant as a shot at Darius Slayton. He's a really good NFL player. He's a good receiver. He's going to play in this league for a long time. He's been very consistent and very productive. Has – there been a less productive game-breaking number one wide receiver in the NFL in the last 5 years than Slayton?
Look, they also
No. You killed Dable for not giving yes or no's, and now you're dodging and dancing. You're not answering my questions either, Charlie. So why do you even talk then?
Because look, Slayton is he's a number 2 or 3 wide receiver.
Yes, and he's a good player. No, but Charlie, that's my point. If you let me finish, Charlie, this is my point, though. If you look at situations around the quarterback, around the league, and we've all seen that does matter. Look how Baker Mayfield's play had changed as he went from one team to another, all right? Let's see how Sam Darnold plays this year when he's around a different situation in Minnesota. Situations matter. And you would be hard-pressed, aside from whatever the Patriots have been doing up in New England and what the Panthers had last year and maybe what some of the Jets situations were before Aaron Rodgers, if there was a worse situation around the quarterback over the last 5 years in totality than there was around Daniel Jones. That's all I'm saying. That doesn't mean that he's a future Hall of Famer or All-Pro hiding, that he's going to be Joe Montana or Josh Allen, but we don't have my point is that we don't know what the best version of Daniel Jones looked like because he hasn't been put in this situation to show what that is. Now, I don't know what that best version is. I'm not telling you what that best version is, but I think we'll have a legitimate chance to see it this year. That's all I'm saying.
This is 6 years. There's no best version of this guy.
There's best versions of everybody, Charlie. Trust me, I take your phone calls every week. There are good versions of Charlie in Portland Maine, and there are bad versions of Charlie in Portland Maine. And Citak will certainly tell you there's good versions of Schmeelk and bad versions of Schmeelk. There's good and bad versions of all of us.
All right, look, the Daniel Jones era and mistake is over. It's been 6 years. Let's move on, and everyone's going to see it this year.
All right,
That's
Charlie.
all I got to
No,
say.
that's fine. Okay, no, real quick. But let's just not just bring this up every week for the next 16 weeks, because you're not going to be able to move on and bring in a new quarterback till next offseason, all right? So let's not bang the proverbial head of Charlie and Portland Maine against the wall every week when all I'm going to be able to say to you, Charlie, is, well, we'll see what they do after the season. Because that's all we're going to be able to say. Because you're not trading for a quarterback mid-season that's going to come in here and be the next franchise quarterback. So let's not just keep pounding our head against the wall about the same topic for 17 weeks.
You got two backups.
Yes.
If he plays bad, he better not be playing.
They have two backups that John and I can tell you, as two people that have been on the sideline watching every single practice going back to the spring, that Daniel Jones is clearly the best, most talented quarterback in that room. There's no.
In practice, that's not the game. He's not the most talented in the game. That's where he doesn't know how to process. He's slow. He can sit there back in his shorts and have no pass rush. He looks great.
Charlie, in all seriousness, from what you saw from Tommy DeVito last year on the field, do you think Tommy DeVito is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones?
Yes, I do. Hey, guys, I got to run. My wife's telling me we got to go.
I always listen to the wife, Charlie. Thank you. And I think that was a good way to end that call, just to show the level to which Charlie drops sometimes.
I don't even know what to say.
No. Do you want to try to squeeze one more here, Pearson? Why don't we squeeze one more, and then we'll do our NFL predictions. There's been a couple lights bouncing, and I'm sure Charlie has gotten people all riled up, which he always does. In the meantime, tickets still available, folks. If you want Giants season tickets, individual tickets, Giants.com/tickets. Something tells me, and I have not looked, that there's probably not a ton available for week 1, celebrating 100 in the season opener, but
I would think not.
Go to Giants.com/tickets and check it out. But I know there are some season tickets still available, so go check that out. That might get you into week 1 if you get season tickets. I'm guessing here. I don't know. But the only way you can find out is if you go to Giants.com/tickets, and you can find out what you can do here. And then, of course, Giants TV, that is all our content on it. It's for free. All your smart TVs out there, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Giants TV. It's our connected TV streaming app.
There's no better place to watch live TV this fall than Hulu Plus Live TV. Why? Because you get your favorite sports like football, local channels, shows, and so much more. Plus, get Hulu's entire streaming library with Disney Plus and ESPN Plus included with your plan. No long-term contracts or hidden fees. Don't wait. Start your 3-day free trial of Hulu Plus Live TV today. Live TV plan required. Access content from each service separately. Offer valid for new and eligible returning subscribers only if available. Terms and restrictions apply. Learn more at Hulu.com.
And I believe that is all the copy I had to get in. Yes, it is. Let's go back to the calls and wrap it up with Chris in North Carolina today. Chris, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing, John and Matt?
We're great, Chris. Thanks for calling in, man. What do you got?
All right, so I want to make a point on the Giants and Dable and Jones.
Go ahead.
So I have not really supported Jones up until now because I believe he makes a lot of bad decisions. But here's my take on this thing with Jones and Dable. So my opinion about this is kind of different than a lot of other people. I have a broad view of this.
Sure.
So let's go back to 2022 when the Giants and Jones and they got to the playoffs against the Vikings. Okay, so they had Mike Kafka as their play caller.
Mm-hmm.
So in their defense, their offense, yes, they had Barkley, they had Slayton, so they had some people around them. Their offensive line was a lot better than last year's. So my opinion on this is a little bit different than other people. I am trying to take a positive take on this, as I have followed the Giants since way back with my dad of the days of Y.A. Tittle, which Len will probably remember, and Fran Tarkenton and Joe Pisarcik and all the Giants quarterbacks.
Yep.
So here's my point on that. I believe that Brian Dable still is kind of weary and has trust issues with Daniel Jones. But here's my take on this. I believe between Sheen and Dable, they're trying to turn this thing around by getting a lot better offensive line, strengthening their defensive fronts, and their secondary is still questionable, but the Adoree Jackson ad was a good move because experience you always need. But so my take on this is with Brian Dable calling the plays now, and then Neighbors being this rookie, sensational. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to draft him in my FFL league this week. But I think the Giants could very well have a much better season than people think they will because of Dable calling the plays and the way he schemes.
I agree with you.
So I'm just hoping that I'm right about this. If I'm not, then I could be negative. But this was Jones's last chance, and I hope he succeeds. And that's all I have to say about this.
Chris, good call, man. Appreciate the call. And look, I think we didn't talk about the Dable calling plays part of all of this, but I think that's a factor too. He's a great play caller. There's a reason he got a head coaching job. And he's done it in a lot of different ways, right? In Buffalo, he was a heavy passing. He did heavy play action some years. He's a guy that's not married to one system, Dable. He's kind of like an amoeba where he can kind of adjust to situations and run it. So I'm curious to see what this offense looks like. That's one of the topics Robert Mays and I got into a lot on the John Settle podcast previewing the year. I'm curious to see what it looks like. I've seen Dable and Daniel interact. Remember, he's in meetings, more offensive meetings now with the quarterbacks. He's with them every day. And I really, Dable talked about this earlier in the year, how their relationship is really growing and it's in a nice place. So I think that trust is growing. And I really think that this offense is going to be handed to him, whatever it ends up looking like. And we'll see. But I think the Dable point is a good one. It's one we hadn't talked about yet today.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point. I mean, last year, obviously, from week one, as we've spoken about, things just flew off the rails very quickly. With the offensive line, all the injuries they had, Brian Dable and Mike Kafka had to sort of, adjust the playbook or how they were calling plays out of the playbook based on who they had available. 2 years ago, let's not forget, although it was Mike Kafka calling the plays, Brian Dable obviously had his fingerprints all over that offense. 2 years ago, that offense, I would say, was pretty creative. We were seeing some play calls that I don't think we've ever seen the Giants run, at least not in years. The
fact he got that set of talent to be like a top 12 offense in EPA, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I will never forget that London game. Daniel Bellinger with a rushing touchdown. That was a rookie tight.
Yeah, correct.
Now Dable will be calling the plays, and Dable spoke about this at some point a couple of weeks ago about, look, it's year 3 of his offense. The year 3 for Daniel Jones, for a lot of these players. The simple matter of fact is that they're going to be able to expand the playbook more because the players are more familiar with the playbook, with the offense. So we will see more creative play calling, I think. I mean, as we've spoken about a lot, more shots downfield. Part of that is the talent that they have. But yeah, I think Dable calling the plays on offense, which he still, by the way, has not officially said that he will be doing.
Correct.
But it seems like we're heading in that direction. I think we're going to see a whole new side of this Giants offense, a whole new side of his playbook that we have not seen before, that will look more like his offenses in Buffalo than at least what it looked like here last year.
The Giants were 16th offensive DVOA in 2022. All right? So for me, to get that team where you want to be in terms of DVOA offensively, in 2022, again, no true number one wide receiver, an offensive line that wasn't good, but it was fine. Whether you rely a lot on the quarterback running, it was really, really good job. There's a reason he won Coach of the Year. It was a really good job by the coaching staff, especially on offense, to get that team where they want it to be. And I'm curious to see with better pieces now. We all know how he feels about Malik Neighbors, what he can do with this offense. Again, if he does end up being at the helm, it certainly does. It's funny, the media doesn't even ask about it anymore because everyone just assumes that's what it's going to be, and I understand why. I mean, we haven't seen another person call a play throughout the summer. Why would it change now? So, yes, I think that could be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, again, the offensive line will be, we expect, if everyone's healthy, significantly better than it was in 2022. And if you just think the Giants' top 4 wide receivers right now, only one of them was healthy for that 2022 season, Darius Slayton. Mm-hmm. They now have who might be he's the 3rd, maybe 4th receiver on the team.
And
now.
2 of them weren't here. I mean, Hyatt and Neighbors
Hyatt wasn't here. Neighbors wasn't here. And Wan'Dale Robinson was a rookie and tore his ACL 6 or 7 games in.
Yep.
So there's just a lot more talent on offense than it was 2 years ago. I think the potential of the offense is even better than it was in 2022. I think it'll look more like that than it did last year.
No, I'm with you 100%. I think it'll be exciting to see exactly where this thing winds up. in 2024. All right, you want to do some NFL predictions here, Matt?
Let's do it.
All right, Pearson, you ready to type? Sure. All right, ready to type. Here we go.
Don't sound too excited.
No. All right, so I guess we should start with the basics. Want to do our division winners first, quick?
Let's do it.
All right, NFC East. I decided to go with the Eagles. I just think they're more talented than Dallas. And even though I do think there is some catastrophe potential just because of how last season ended, I'll go with the talent, and I think Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio have proven that they're good coordinators. So I decided to give the Eagles the NFC East crowd.
And I went the other way. I went with the Cowboys.
So first time we'll have repeat champions in the NFC East since 2004, huh?
I think so, because of what you just mentioned about the Eagles' meltdown last year. I don't expect them to have another, falling apart second half of the season like they did. But I mean, CeeDee Lamb we just saw get paid. Dak still has not gotten paid.
Do you think he gets paid this week?
I mean, it would be very Cowboys to wait until the very last second.
Yes, it would be.
I don't know if it'll happen this week. I think it'll
get announced on like Thursday Night Football on the pregame show.
Possible. Maybe in the first I do think it will get done, but maybe a couple weeks into the season.
Into the season, okay.
But as of right now, he hasn't gotten paid, so he's clearly motivated. And let's not forget, Micah Parsons also wants to get paid.
Yeah, he has 2 years left, though. I'm not going to lose my mind over that.
He does have 2 years left, but he was right there with CD and Dak saying, I want to get paid. I want a new deal. He didn't hold out, but he wants to get paid. So he's clearly motivated as well. So
I think that'll be next season's drama.
Yeah, but I just think that the Cowboys offense, despite not having much in the running game, I think they're going to have the offense at least going to have a very big year. And they have one of the best defenses in the league.
And Mike McCarthy motivated too. He's on a contract year too. So a lot of stuff at stake. All right, interesting. And I do not have the Cowboys in the playoffs. I do not have them as one of my wild card teams. They're my last team out.
I do have the Eagles as a wild card team.
Bobby Belt, and I think Pearson listened to some of this. Bobby Belt was our guest on our NFC East roundtable last week, and he told me he thought they could win 8 games this year. So he kind of had me.
The Cowboys win.
Yeah, and he covers them. So. Right. I had the Cowboys in, and otherwise, honestly, my list would have been the same exact teams that made the playoffs last year. And I'm like, I can't do that. I got to mix it up a little bit, right? So I have the Cowboys out of the playoffs this year. NFC North, I think we both have the Lions winning that division, correct? Yep. I don't think we need to go too deep into that. I have the Falcons in the NFC South just because I think best quarterback, really good weapons on offense. I think Raheem Morris is second go-around as head coach. I think he'll do a nice job down there. So I have the Falcons winning the NFC South.
I have the Falcons as well. I think that offense is going to be significantly better with the addition of Kirk Cousins. They haven't had a quarterback. I mean, Desmond Ridder started how many games for them last year?
Too many.
And he's
last 2 years.
And he just got cut from whatever team he was with competing to be the backup.
Oh, he didn't make that team, huh?
No, it was the Cardinals.
It was
Clayton Tune beat him for the backup job. And that's the guy that was starting significant games for the Falcons last year.
Clayton Tune beat him out, huh?
So even if Kirk Cousins, gets hurt again, whatever, I'm comfortable throwing Michael Penix in there, and I think the Falcons are going to run away with that division.
Did he pick up on a practice squad somewhere, Desmond Ridder?
That I'm not sure.
Look that up. I'm curious. NFC West, both of us have the 49ers, I'm assuming, in that division.
Yep.
Okay, so do I. My wild card teams, I'll just give you my 3. I have the Packers as my number 1 wild card team. I have the Rams as wild card team number 2. And then getting in, I have the Seattle Seahawks as my 3rd wild card team this year.
Well, first of all, Desmond Ridder re-signed to the Cardinals practice squad.
That makes sense. Okay.
Okay, my wild card teams, similar. I have the Packers at the first spot. I have the Eagles in the second. And now this one was tough because I was going back and forth. I do think there will be a second NFC West team. And I was going back and forth between Seattle and the Rams because I do like the Rams a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if I get this one wrong. But I also went with Seattle.
Ooh, over the Rams.
In as the 7th
nice.
seed. Yep.
I think that NFC West is low-key going to be pretty good. I think the Cardinals aren't that bad of a team either, to be honest with you.
I think their defense, Arizona's defense, is very suspect.
I agree
But I do think they could easily have a top 10 offense.
Yeah,
don't think that would surprise anyone.
They're going to score points.
Yeah.
But yeah, their defense does not have a ton of talent on. I'm with you on that 100%. All right, NFC title game, I have Green Bay facing Detroit in an NFC North battle.
I also have Green Bay
you
versus
don't.
Detroit.
You're kidding me.
That is what I have. And I did this on like Friday.
I did mine this morning. All right, and I have the Packers in the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
So I have the Lions.
Okay.
So we differ there.
Got it. Okay. I figure the Lions have never made a Super Bowl even, right?
I feel like this is the year.
I did not have.
I think last year should have been the year. and then they fell apart in that second half against the 49ers.
I did not have the guts to break the curse. I didn't have the guts. Sorry, I didn't have the guts.
I'm going with Dan Campbell.
I like it. I like it. All right, let's go to the AFC. AFC East is really difficult. I decided to go with the Jets. I just think they're a very good team, and I'll roll the dice that Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. You have to figure out how the Jets fans' hearts are going to get broken each year. I think this is going to be really good regular season and then an early playoff exit. So that's going to be the way it kind of goes this year for them. But I think the Jets honestly have a pretty good year, so I'm going to go with the Jets.
Yeah, I have the Jets winning the division as well.
Wow, this is way too similar. We did not talk about this at all, folks, just for the record.
Maybe it was that joint practice that we watched, but watching Aaron Rodgers throw the ball to Garrett Wilson, I think those two are going to – at least Garrett Wilson is going to have a monster year. Yeah. Rodgers, I think, is going to have a very good year. Look, he's not going to be MVP level, but he's going to look closer to what he did that year than that last year in Green Bay when he was kind of not that great.
He still got it, man.
Yeah.
AFC North, another tough one. I went with the Bengals here just to be a little bit different. I think Joe Burrow is healthy heading into the season for the first time in, I think, 3 seasons. So I think they have a really good offense. I don't mind them losing Joe Mixon. I think the Zach Moss, Chase Brown combination will be fine. They're a running back for them. Their offensive line, I think, is improved. Their defense doesn't have stars, though Trey Hendrickson, you can argue, is playing like a star. He doesn't have credit for that. And I just trust Lou Anarumo as their defensive coordinator. So I'm with the Bengals to win the AFC North.
I do like the Bengals, but Joe Burrow has just historically always gotten off to slow starts. Now, you just said that he's healthy for the first time in at least a couple of years, so maybe that helps with that. But on the flip side, Jamar Chase, we know the drama that's going on there. Maybe he gets a new deal this week. If not, we don't know if he's going to be there week 1. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, T. Higgins is on the franchise tag this year. So if he gets off to a strong start and then, hurts his hamstring, I don't think T. Higgins is rushing back to the field when he's got a future contract potentially on the line. So
I did not think about that. That's a good point.
That's what just worries me. I went with the Ravens. The reigning MVP in Lamar. They added Derrick Henry, who is the perfect running back to add to that offense.
Agreed.
I think Derrick Henry is going to lead the league in rushing touchdowns. I know that's not that bold of a take, but I do think he will. And I think the Ravens are going to take the division.
And I have the Ravens as my number 1 wild card team. AFC South, both of us have the Texans, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. AFC West, I have the Chiefs. Okay, so I have the Ravens as wild card team number 1. The AFC East is tough because I wanted to maybe put both the Dolphins and the Bills in, but then again, I'm looking at almost the same playoff teams we had last year out of the AFC. And guys, remember, almost every year, half the playoff teams change. So you don't want to go with the same teams because it's not going to happen. I think the fewest teams we've had not repeat over the past 6 or 7 years, Lance and I looked at this, I think it was like 5 or 6. So you always have at least 5 playoff teams switching every year. So I went with the Bills as a wild card team. Then I went with the Colts. The Colts are my little sleeper AFC team this year. I just think the situation around Anthony Richardson is really strong. I like their receiver group with Mitchell, Josh Downs, and Michael Pittman Jr. They have Taylor, the running back, who's really, really good. Their offensive line is playing well. I think Shane Steichen is a top 5 NFL play caller. I think he's that good. And I think their defense has some talent on it. So I think the Colts are my kind of surprise AFC wildcard team.
So I went with 3 AFC East teams in the playoffs. I went with Miami and Buffalo getting the top 2.
And Miami's my first team out, by the way. I have it written down right here.
Every year I kind of doubt Mike McDaniel. I doubt Tyreek Hill, that offense, and then just how explosive they looked last year. I don't know if they'll be able to repeat how explosive it was because it was insane last year, but I still think it's going to be a very good offense, and they're going to win enough games while the weather is still warm where cold weather Tua is not going to affect their playoff chances. And then I have the Bills as the second wild card team. I don't want to doubt Josh Allen. He's probably the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I actually have the Colts as the last wild card team too.
No, you don't.
I do. I had them, and that's another one. I was going back and forth between the Colts and the Jaguars because I do think the Jaguars are going to be better than people are expecting them to be this year.
No second AFC North team, huh?
No, I don't have confidence in the Browns, honestly, with that quarterback situation. While I have confidence in Mike Tomlin, that's another offense that scares me, especially with Arthur Smith now calling the plays. And so I considered the Bengals, but again, I explained my hesitations on them before. If Jamar Chase signed a deal a week ago, I probably would have had the Bengals as a playoff team. But as of right now, his situation just scares me. And if you take him out of the offense, that offense looks significantly different.
All right, I'm going to go Chiefs-Texans, AFC title game. I thought about Chiefs-Bengals. I just don't want to do the same one as 2 years ago. Or was that 3 years ago now, Chiefs-Bengals, whatever that was? So I went Chiefs-Texans and then the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And I don't think they will get the three-peat. I think the Packers beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
So I went with a rematch of last year's AFC Championship between the Chiefs and the Ravens. I went with the Chiefs defeating the Ravens. And the Chiefs repeating.
Three-peat.
I think, as you know, some could argue that, they've won the last 2 years. How motivated can those guys be? Patrick Mahomes
They're motivated.
wants to create history.
Don't worry
There's
about
never been a
motivation.
three-peat in the NFL.
No.
He wants that, and he wants this team to be considered the best dynasty of all time. They're already well on their way. I think they're going to have the first three-peat.
Eventually, bad luck just catches up with you, and I feel like it's bound to, like, the ball bounces the wrong way in the game or something like that, where that thing gets derailed somehow.
It's definitely possible, but as long as Patrick Mahomes is healthy, it's hard to go against that team.
I have him in the Super Bowl. It's not like I doubt him, so I'm with you. All right, real quick, let's go through some of the individual award winners here. MVP, I have the Packers going to the Super Bowl, so I have Jordan Love as my NFL MVP. I'm trying to have some new names in my list here, so I'm going to go Jordan Love.
I do like that because I think that offense is going to be amazing this year. But based on my Super Bowl pick and how he did last year in the regular season, I went with Mahomes because I think he's going to go nuclear this year.
I think voters are tired of voting for Patrick Mahomes.
I think he's going to play so well that they're not going to have a choice.
Okay, fair enough. And he didn't win last year either, so they like to avoid the
He
back-to-back.
kind of struggled in the regular season last year,
they
at
kinda
least
have it
in
on-
terms of Patrick Mahomes.
They kind of have it on cruise control. They're like, we'll get through the regular season, and we'll turn it on.
They
in the
relied on
playoffs.
their defense last year. I think the offense is going to look more like the Chiefs' offense that we know.
With Xavier Worthy and Rice in his second year.
Hollywood Brown when he's back.
I agree with all that. I'm with you. Offensive Player of the Year, I went C.J. Stroud. I think it'll be too early for voters to vote him for MVP. But I think with that wide receiver core, man, that team is going to score a ton of points. So I think C.J. Stroud is my Offensive Player of the Year.
I like that pick. I went with Jonathan Taylor.
Ooh, I like that
think
too. Okay.
Jonathan Taylor has the potential with a healthy Anthony Richardson to potentially reach 2,000 yards. I know I saw an interview. He's pushing for 2,000 yards. And as we've seen with the Ravens offense the last couple of years, when you have a mobile quarterback that is a big threat to run, that creates running lanes for your running back.
I like the pick.
And Anthony Richardson, obviously a mobile quarterback. Shane Steichen has said that they're not going to shy away from letting Anthony Richardson run with the ball, despite his injuries last year. I think that's going to open up a lot of running lanes for Jonathan Taylor, and he's going to have a monster year.
I like it. All right, well, let me ask you a fantasy question then. And my friends, I have a league with my high school friends that we do for fun every year, entertainment purposes only, just for fun. I'm probably going to have a choice between Bijan. It's a PPR league. Between Bijan Robinson and Taylor.
I think I'd go Bijan.
That's what I'm going to, I think.
While I just said everything I said about Jonathan
Well, that's
Taylor,
why I asked you the question.
Bijan obviously is a much bigger threat in the passing game. They are going to use him in the passing game. And because it's PPR, you got to go Bijan. If it was non-PPR, I would say probably Taylor.
That's where I'm at with that too. All right. Well, I don't like all this agreement. Defensive Player of the Year. This was my non-creative one. I went Myles Garrett here. I just think he's unbelievable. The Browns' defense should be good again. If he got 20 sacks in any year, it wouldn't surprise me. So I went Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I kind of went with a quote-unquote chalk pick as well. Micah Parsons.
I went Micah last year.
With his contract situation somewhat looming, I think he's going to play so well this year that he's going to be like, look what I just did. Basically hand me a blank check.
Curious to see in Mike Zimmer's system if he gets the same level of production in a new defensive system. But I think
that
he
would
should.
be interesting to
I think
see.
he should. Zimmer had success with pass rush.
I did come close to a different player, but you and we said we were going to do a breakout player.
Okay.
So I chose that guy as my breakout player. So I'll
it's not the
save
same
that
guy.
for a couple minutes.
Comeback Player of the Year. I went back and forth on this. My boring one is Aaron Rodgers, but I really don't want to pick him. I'm going to cross out Aaron Rodgers. This is boring. I'm going to ride my Sam Darnold train to the end of the station. It's going to be like Denzel trying to keep the train from crashing in that movie. What was that movie where he's doing the train and like the brakes like break?
Unstoppable?
Oh, yeah. I'm Denzel and Unstoppable with Sam Darnold. I'm riding that train all the way to the end, baby. I'm going to go Sam Darnold here. Here we go.
Well, then I'm going to take your boring pick and go with Aaron Rodgers.
I thought about Daniel Jones here, too, to be honest with you.
I just
thought about it. But I don't want to jinx it. And by the way, that's why I left the Giants out of my playoff predictions. I just don't want to jinx anything here.
Same.
So that's what I'm doing.
I also just think with the media narrative with Daniel Jones, he would have to have such a successful year for him to actually be in consideration for that award.
See, psychological on the voters. I like it.
He's just going to be held to a different level. So I would love to see him do it, obviously. That would mean very good things for the Giants, but I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, Coach of the Year. If he hasn't won it yet, I'm going to go Dan Campbell. I think the Lions have a really good regular season. They were my first pick in our wins league with the Tino from last Friday. So I'm going to go Dan Campbell, Coach of the Year.
I like that because I think they're going to be the number 1 seed.
Me too.
That would put him in the conversation. I went with Mike McDonald.
Ooh, first-time head coach,
First-time
I like
head coach. I see a similar situation to the Giants 2 years ago.
Well, you have Seattle in the
Dable.
playoffs. It makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I had the Rams making the playoffs over Seattle, my backup choice was then going to be Raheem Morris because I think the Falcons are going to run away with that division.
That's a good one.
But I had Seattle sneaking in. I think Mike McDonald is going to, similar to Dable 2 years ago, I think he's going to take home Coach of the Year.
I feel like media feels like, all right, we probably overlooked Campbell a little last year. He's been a good coach. We think he's a good coach. I think it's one of those, we kind of owe this to him for his success in bringing the Lions back. So that's why I have a feeling
I would not be surprised to see multiple Lions win different awards this year for that exact reason.
Offensive Rookie of the Year is tough. We talked about how good this rookie class was. Well, my question is, do you think they lean to quarterback?
Yes.
Are they going to treat it like they treat the MVP, where they lean towards the quarterback?
Yes.
And I think they will too. So that's why I went with Caleb Williams. Well, I thought about Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison. And by the way, I would put either of those two guys over Jaden Daniels. I think that situation in Washington is problematic. I don't know how good he's going to be this year through no fault of his own. I think he's a good player. So I'm going to go with Caleb Williams as mine.
Yeah, I wanted to go with one of the two receivers as well because I think it is more impressive for a rookie wide receiver to come out and all of a sudden be, like a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL as opposed to a rookie quarterback coming out and having a good but not great year, which is what I think Caleb Williams is going to do. I went with Caleb Williams because I think that's just how the voters skew. They skew towards quarterbacks.
And I think the Bears might win 8 games this year. I think they're going to have a good year. I think their team's pretty good.
Popular, sneak into the wild card.
They have a shot
from a lot of people in the media.
Yeah, would shock me if they finished 9-8 and won a tiebreaker to get in? That wouldn't shock me one bit. I'm with you. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I went Laiatu Latu. I think he's a veteran. He's the most polished pass rusher. It's really hard for a non-pass rusher to win this award. You have to get a lot of interceptions, which is tough for rookie defensive backs. So Quinion Mitchell, maybe. But I went with Latu. I think that's the easy one.
Yeah, I think Christian Gonzalez last year would have had a chance had he not gotten hurt with the way he started. But he did get hurt, so we'll never know. I also went with a pass rusher, but a different one. I went with Jared Verse.
Ooh, over Dallas Turner too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went with Jared Verse. I think he's going to have a very good rookie year. I think the Rams' defensive line is going to be a lot better than people expect because everyone's like, oh, Aaron Donald's gone. They're going to take a big step back. No one is repeating the success that Aaron Donald had. Don't think that this is me saying that because no one can do that.
Yes.
But they have Colby Turner, who had a very, very encouraging rookie year last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drafted Jared Verse and my guy Braden Fisk. Back-to-back in first and second rounds of this draft. 2 teammates from Florida State, familiarity playing next to each other. I think those 3 are going to form a better-than-expected defensive line. Jared Verse is going to maybe push for double-digit sacks. I don't know if he'll get there, but he'll push.
Thing. I think Verse is going to have a better year than Latu because I think he's a better all-around player against the run because he's a powerful guy and he's a little bit of an old... Actually, they're probably around the same age, though, 2 guys. But I think Latu's just going to get more sacks and voters tend to be lazy. Oh, well, Latu with 2 more sacks, so we'll give it to him.
Totally fair. I was deciding between those 2.
And if both those teams are in the playoffs, that could be, do those guys get more pub? They're on TV more. You get more votes. That's how it works. So, all right, 2 breakout players. My breakout offensive player, I'm going to go Drake London, wide receiver Falcons. He's been good. I don't think he's crested 1,000 yards yet in his young NFL career because, again, the quarterback situation in Atlanta has not been the best. I think with Kirk Cousins, we're looking at a 1,200-yard, double-digit touchdown year for Drake London.
I actually had Drake London as my runner-up.
Ooh, okay.
Because I had to at least mention him, but everything you just mentioned is exactly what I was going to say. My choice, shouldn't come as a surprise with what I said earlier, is Garrett Wilson, who has had good seasons to start his career the first 2 years.
He's broken out already.
When I say breakout, I mean I think he's going to be an all-pro wide receiver.
You mean like 1,700, 1,800 type of thing?
I would say 1,500 plus with double-digit touchdowns. Like that, again, I don't want to over-exaggerate what we saw in one joint practice.
He has not gone over 1,103 yards. So I think that would count as a breakout. I'm with you on that.
And 4 touchdowns was his most.
No,
I think he's going to destroy those 2 numbers if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, which is a big if.
I think he will be a top 5 wide receiver this year.
Yes.
Maybe top 3. I'm with you on that. All right, and then defense. As much as it pains me, I'm going to go Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, Eagles. Sometimes it takes these interior defensive linemen a little bit of time to put everything together, and maybe it won't be till year 3 for him. I don't know, but you look at the defensive players drafted over the last 2 or 3 years, he might be the most talented one. So I'm going, sadly, Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Carter.
And he's certainly shown flashes last year that show that he could be a very good, just like a terror in the middle of the Eagles defensive
he just ran
line.
out of gas a little bit the second half of the year, and I don't think that's going to happen this year.
No, I like that pick, but my guy who I teased before, who I think will be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, is Aiden Hutchinson, who took a big jump last year from his rookie year. I think he had 11.5 sacks. I think he is going to have over 15 sacks. I think he's going to be among the sack leaders in the NFL this year. He's going to lead that Lions defense, who will be a little better than they have been. I mean, the last year, the offense was amazing. The defense was just not good.
Yeah, for this to count as a breakout, he has to get over 15. He has to.
Yeah, it's exactly what I think he will do. I think he will be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. He won't get it because guys like Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett will end up with TJ Watt will have more sacks, but he will be close. He will be in that ballpark. And so he's my breakout defensive player.
And Pearson, breakout is nebulous, so you're going to be one at the end of the year that judges whether or not these players have actually broken out. So that's on you, okay? Perfect. Citak, this is fun.
Yeah.
All right, so starting tomorrow again, Cross Papa, 1:30 tomorrow, so a little bit later. And we're really going to start now digging into Giants and Vikings the rest of the weeks here, folks. This is our last kind of quasi-off-season show. We'll take bold predictions over the course of the week, too, if you have them for the season. Pearson's writing them all down for you. We'll track them, and we'll look at them at the end of the year. So stick with us. We're rocking and rolling here. Giants Huddle Podcast, and, of course, Big Blue Kickoff Live, 12:30 every day except for tomorrow, 1:30 with Bob and Howard. For Matt, I'm Schmeelk. We'll see you next time on Big Blue Kickoff Live.
This episode is brought to you by FX's The Old Man. The hit show returns, starring Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow. The former CIA agent sets off on his most important mission to date, to recover his daughter after she's kidnapped. The stakes get higher and more secrets are uncovered. FX's The Old Man premieres September 12th on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Good sleep should come naturally, and with a new Natural Hybrid mattress, it can. A collaboration between Lisa and West Elm, the Natural Hybrid is expertly crafted from natural latex, natural wool, and certified safe foams to elevate your sleep sanctuary and support a greener tomorrow. Breathable organic cotton and moisture-wicking Joma wool consistently provide cool and comfortable slumber. Every purchase helps fuel Lisa's work with shelters and those in need. Visit lisa.com to learn more. That's LEESA.com.